You go.
Awesome, cool. Hey Ruby, how are you?
Hey, how's it going? I'm good.
Awesome. I'm good as well. It's a nice day here in Seattle, nice and sunny. I hope you're enjoying.
I definitely do enjoy, and thank you so much for having me on your video recording.
Yeah, sure thing. Cool. So the primary purpose of today's discussion, I thought, in my own experience through the product life cycle, trust and safety plays a really important role there. And I know that's something you are an expert and have several years of experience building products around trust and safety. So really wanted to kickstart the discussion talking about what does really trust and safety mean?
Great. Well, thank you so much for having me. So before we talk about trust and safety, a quick introduction about myself. I'm Ruby. I'm based in Seattle, Washington. I have the way how I involved in trust and safety started back in the days when I worked in the bank as what we call the anti-money laundering program. Money laundering program is about looking into where when client onboarding with us, we have to understand where the money come from and whether the money are legit money instead of using money that from drug lord or corrupt the money and then push through the money through the bank system to turn the money into legit use of the money. And the way how I got into trust and safety was that after moving back to Seattle, I joined Starbucks as a digital fraud prevention. This is where we're looking into how, as we all place a cup of coffee on it on using the Starbucks app, we're looking into how bad actor can go into anyone's Starbucks app, stealing the money or using fraudulent credit card. And that's where the trust and safety comes into place. Nowadays, when all of us are using internet of everything, you might be surprised there's a lot of badness happening on the internet. So you can imagine people are infringing the IP, there harassment, there are people stealing money. So pretty much what trust and safety is all about is that it's a group of community of people working in the company or even the government trying to look for things to making sure that all the users on the internet are safe, they can enjoy having all the fun, and essentially they can do whatever they need to on the platform to making sure that they trust the platform to achieve whatever the goal they have. That's what the trust and safety is all about.
Got it. Awesome. And that's an exciting journey. I'm pretty confident all my transactions are Starbucks are pretty safe and secure thanks to you. Cool. So you briefly touched upon sort of like, the fraud, overall making sure that the platform in itself is really secure for the end customers, etc. Now, as a product manager, I have, dealt with a lot of these nuances when it comes to, making sure that the data is reliable, the data is, secure for my end customers, because I really want to make sure that my product is as reliable, as safe as possible. So when it comes to like trust and safety within product management through that product life cycle, right? How can someone think about it proactively? Where do I even begin?
Yeah, that's a great question. So first of all, to answer your question, there are two folds about it. First one is that as a trust and safety product manager, how our work slightly different than the general public product manager per se. One of the key things about trust and safety product manager is that it's you going into the trust and safety, you bringing in with the expertise of how do you doing risk assessment against a certain feature. So in order to do that, part of the things that we will do as a product manager in trust and safety is that we either deep dive in the data, looking into what are the badness that happening on the platform, whether it could be child abuse or fraud, or it can be misinformation. We do access on what are the risks existing on the platform, and we build feature itself to from a policy to features to even investigation to stop that badness from happening on the platform. The other way we also doing is that a lot of time we partner with all our other product manager to lead what we call the trust and safety by design. The way we work is that let's say if a product manager want to build a food delivery features on a platform, as early as they started with the whole discovery journey and even on the UX design, we engage with the product manager to look at, for this particular feature, what are the potential risks that could happen to that features. Sometimes in this case, if it's a food delivery, it could be account takeover, it could be online to offline harm. Because imagine when you order a piece of, a food order, a driver show up in your door, it actually had the transaction that happened online, even down to the offline of the actual meetup between the driver and the person who ordered the food. So all this journey from throughout the moment when the customer ordered the food to the actual delivery of the food, we look at each of the customer journey and help the other product manager to look at what are the potential risks, what will be the harm, and what we can actually do to reduce the potential risk or the threat that's happening to that particular journey. And this is how we will partner with the product manager from early beginning of the design all the way to integrate whatever feature that we need to build from a trust and safety perspective in addition to the feature. And then we work with the product manager to look at how do we measure the success, and does that feature or whatever policy actually stop the badness, and then iterate as we go through the whole cycle.
Got it. So essentially, it's through the life cycle, right from the discovery, being really diligent around what data do we use, how do we process that data, where do we store that data, and obviously there's more to it, right? But that's cool. Can you maybe give a quick example of like, in the initial phases of any given product, how do you typically sort of like do these kind of assessments? What are some of these questions or data points you're trying to understand?
Yeah, love the questions. This is something that the trust and safety product management and the community have to do it a lot. What usually happens is that if you're a new feature that are brought by other product manager, what we will do as a trust and safety product manager, we will have a meeting, sit down with the product manager, sometimes the trust and safety manager, and it might involve our security partners as well. When we going through the feature, we will look into what actually is the product requirement is all entail, what is the customer experience look like, what is the data structure, and we even look at like high level data architect. If we know some of these requirements, that will help us to do access. Now, when we doing what we call the trust by design, there are multiple aspects that we'll be doing when we come to risk assessment. So number one, we'll look into any concern of data integrity, any cybersecurity concern, look any potential of the fraud, or any type of badness. So depending on the platform, we will be listing out the type of badness that we potentially need to access to. We're looking to data privacy, and we even look into like the vendor risk. So it's a list of criteria that are very customized for the platform. And as we are sitting down with the product manager, along with the engineering partner and security team if needed, and sometimes legal and compliance, we're looking through any of these aspects to figure out what are the potential risks specifically to the features, and then we prioritize all this like risk exposure before we decided to land on what is the next step that we need to work to address the certain aspect of the risk that highlighted in the feature.
Got it. Okay. And then, so in that partnership with your product manager, essentially it's sort of like the way you would operate at any given company. Is it like a centralized trust and safety team where we have these kind of like expertise and sort of like a process improvement or a platform where I can come in? Is that typically how it works?
It usually work that way, but in addition, in a trust and safety job family, besides we looking in the product side, we typically will have the operation investigator, which is a team of people that look at the investigating a specific type of incidents that happen to the platform. We also have data scientists to build out different type of machine learning model based on the badness we try to tackle with, or the problem space that we want to focus on. And then we also work very closely with legal and compliance, and even and also with the policy specialists to iterate any type of policies that's built out on a platform, so that it helps us to making sure that we have clear communication and education to the user about what is our philosophy on guiding the platform to making sure that we have the trust and safety obtained on the platform.
Got it. Okay. That's assuring, because in my own experience working with legal teams, I know how tough those conversations can be, but at the same time, those are very important, right? So having that liaison is, I think, very important, because it not only alleviates a lot of these product concerns, but it also makes sure that my end customers, as a product manager, we are continuing to adding more value to them, but in that safe and secure environment. Because I think in today's day and age, if there is one most important thing, it's the trust and transparency of the users, right? And if we do lose that, I mean, your brand reputation is going to be at stake, your product is going to be at stake. Nevertheless, you would see concerns in adoption or retention, etc. So I think it's definitely interesting. Cool. I have learned so much, Ruby, and I'm pretty sure there is so much more to trust and safety than what we have talked about today. So I understand you offer these services as a consultant, as an expert in this space. If someone were to sort of like reach out to you, what is the best way? What are some of these services you offer?
That's a great question. Thank you so much for bringing this up. You can surely find me on LinkedIn under Ruby Yun, RUBYYUBN. I also have a consultancy called Ruby Y Consulting. I do not just doing consultings on trust and safety platform, but I also helping people who are passionate about joining the community and being a trust and safety specialist. At the end of the day, it's one of the industry that are needed every single digital platform on the planet right now. And yet it's a very hidden industry that not a lot of people are aware of. And so I definitely passionate to recruit more people coming into the industry to help provide a better place for the internet.
Got it. And in terms of like who all who all can reach you? Is it folks trying to break their career into like trust and safety as a PM of trust and safety? I've seen a lot of openings come up in that space. Is it companies who are really trying to facilitate trust and safety?
I would say anyone who are even curious about what are the hack of trust and safety, what are actually we do, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to answer any question, because at the end of the day, trust and safety is not one of the subjects that you will ever learn, and not a lot of place in university that you heard about, but it definitely a very essential, I would say, the pillar of many platforms that we need. So if anyone have any question, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any question that you have.
Got it. Awesome. Cool.
Thank you so much for having me.
Likewise.